Okay, and we are all set. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the public input meeting for the Police Reform Reinvention Collaborative Committee. So we can share our report on our initiatives that we have undertaken in response to the governor's executive order. So our policy, the first thing I would like to do is introduce the committee. We don't have all of our members with us tonight, but we do have Officer in Charge William Rice, Sergeant Stephen Barker, Anthony Bryant, Kate Maloney, Don Ciccinelli, and Kyra Ofar. So thank you, committee members, for being here. And what we want to do tonight is we did make our plan available to the public on March 1st. The plan was put on the village website and the committee's webpage for public review. We notified the public that the report was available via social media, the village newsletter, and our village alert system. So we hope that everyone had the opportunity, or at least is aware of how they can view the report, so they if they so choose. So we're going to concentrate tonight on just the committee comments and recommendations. Our report starts off with a brief overview of the demographics of Green Island, and then we go into more detail in regards to the operations of the police department. Sergeant Barker gave the public a detailed information on the workings of the department in our first public hearing. So we took that information and put it into writing, so that has been included in our report. In addition to our committee member bios, the meat of the report is our recommendation after we took the time to review and discuss, and we considered public input on the current policing policies, strategies, and practices. We have the following recommendations as a committee. So one of the areas that we want to highlight is recruitment. And we are in a unique situation here in Green Island. We have, having a part-time department, we have the advantage to capitalize on highly trained and experienced officers. However, there are some challenges to recruitment. The department must only seek sworn law enforcement officers to fill vacancies. So our pool of eligible candidates is to those that are already currently law enforcement officers. So as a committee, we have come up with the following recommendations. And in an effort to expand the pool of candidates past neighboring agencies, we would like the department to consider using the Zone 5 Training Academy to disseminate the job openings through their listserv for trained officers. We would also like to create an equal employment opportunity statement that confirms the department's commitment to equal opportunity and diversity. We would also like the committee to consider including an impartial person in addition to a member of the Public Safety Committee in the interviewing process. Does anyone have any questions or comments in regards to recruitment? And I should note at this time, if you do want to, you can use the raise hand feature, which can be found at the bottom of your screen, either under reactions or more. And we will unmute you to share your input. The next topic that we spent a lot of time talking about was use of force. And I think the most important aspect to note here is that the chokehold is not taught in Green Island. And I am going to defer to Sergeant Barker, and he's going to explain the use of force policy in a little more detail. Unmute you. There we go.
Thanks, Maggie. So obviously this component of the plan is what potentially acted as the catalyst for all the reforms that we're seeing now. And so we want to take specific note on that specific component, in that our use of force policy has been and will continue to stay within New York State standards, but then also general model policies from IACP and the other law enforcement national organizations. At this point, we don't teach the chokehold maneuver or any chokehold maneuver, and we will continue to not do so. And that policy will continue to be updated through any state recommendations, specifically the DCJS recommendations, which would then fall under the reform actions lauded by New York State government. So it's not in there now, and it will continue to be prohibited unless it's a deadly force scenario.
Great, thank you. The committee took all of that into consideration and has the following recommendations. We would like to see the department implement the use of body cameras as a tool to hold officers accountable and to make the department more transparent. This act could build trust within the community, aid in collecting evidence, and be used to define the actions of a particular incident. We also made the suggestion to post the use of force policy on the committee's website. And I would like to note that that has been done. So the use of force policy is available as we speak for public viewing. This will allow the general public or any individual to have an understanding of the varying degrees of physical force. Our next topic that we highlighted and spent some time on was mental health. The police have become frontline professionals who manage persons with mental illness when they are in crisis. There is a need for police officers to have continuing training and recognizing mental health illness and knowing how to access mental health resources. Collaboration between law enforcement and mental health system is crucial. Currently, if there is an instance in Green Island involving a person with mental health issues, the officer can utilize the Albany County Mobile Crisis Team. The Albany County Mobile Crisis Team serves as a resource to the officers. The team is specially trained social workers that are on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, the only downfall is there's only one team that services the whole entire county at one time. Therefore, our recommendations as a committee is to continue using the Albany County Mobile Crisis Team as needed, to reach out to the coordinator of the Albany County Mobile Crisis Team for additional training. We thought because we are a part-time department, it may be easier for us if we trained the sergeants or those an administrative role within the department, and we could disseminate that information down to the officers on an ongoing basis. We also thought that officers may be able to be trained by the Albany County Crisis Intervention Team. The Albany County Crisis Intervention Program provides officers with 40 hours of specialized instruction on topics that relate to mental health identification and best practices when interacting with someone in a crisis. We would also like to see a mental health component incorporated into the annual in-service training requirement for the Green Islands Department. And I'll stop right there briefly if anyone has any comments or questions. Okay, we'll keep moving forward. And the next topic that we highlighted was misconduct. We are all aware that the officers in Green Island perform a difficult job with respect for the community and compliance with the law. However, ever so often, there is a chance that an incident can occur that goes against respect and compliance with the law. Therefore, the committee recommends the following: to adopt a policy to establish procedures for the proper receiving, reporting, and investigating of all complaints and allegations of misconduct by the department or its employees. And we would like to have created a civilian complaint form. The civilian complaint form should be made available on the webpage and at the Green Island Police Department. I would like to happily report that both of those initiatives have already taken place. We have a draft policy for handling complaints, which is included in our report. And we also have a civilian complaint form. As soon as those two documents are approved by the department and the village officials, we will post those on the village website. We're hoping to at one point make the complaint form fillable so you can do everything right online electronically for the generation that likes to do that. But we also will have hard copies that are available at the police department that they can physically go to and pick up. Right now, once we do get the form on the webpage, it will be printable to be filled out and turned in. So those are two huge components of our report and great accomplishments that we have made thus far. And I think the last point that we're going to go over here is probably the most important, seeing as though Green Island is a close-knit, unique community, and we are huge proponents on promoting community engagement and fostering relationships. So the committee met, and we believe that it is extremely important for the police agency and the community they serve in an effort to maintain public safety and effective policing, that community members' willingness to trust the police depends on whether they believe the police actions reflect community values. And with that, the committee recommends the following. We would like to see the Police Activities League reinstated. The Police Activities League was very active several years ago in conjunction with the Parks and Recreation Department. We did a lot of community events and activities for the youth for many years. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it fell to the wayside, but we would like to bring that back. We think that having a police presence at community and youth events will aid in the fostering respect amongst the youth. Our next point was to designate an officer to patrol the park during the spring and summer sessions or season. We did this the year before the pandemic. Last year was a unique year, but the previous year we did, the village had designated an officer to the park. During the evening hours, there was a significant decrease in complaints and incidents. The officer assigned to the park got to know the Green Island children and families, and the children and families got to know the officer. These types of relationships do foster trust. There has been a perception that street patrols have decreased as senior members of the department have retired or moved on. We would like to see more visible street patrols as they are important to the residents of Green Island. It provides them a sense of security. We would like the department to continue to encourage officers to patrol each street when time allows while on duty. We would like to continue partnering with community organizations and the school district.
Whoa.
The Green Island collaborated with Albany County for dispatching services several years ago. And despite the village's best efforts and the department's best efforts, village residents are still hesitant to call 911. We would just like to make note that we must continue promoting calling 911. If you see something, say something. And we're going to do just a little bragging here for a second. We've done a little bit as a committee. Our communications, we've increased our openness and our public participation as an element of this project. We created a webpage for the Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative Committee, which is linked to the police department's webpage. And we have provided all of the standard operating procedures on the website. So anyone that wants to see the policies and procedures of the department at this time can do so by visiting the website. We also have provided an avenue for the public to offer input and ask questions. Originally, it had started in conjunction with the public meetings, but we have decided as a committee that we will continue to make those forms available to the public so that they can ask questions at any time. Those forms will be checked on a regular basis. And we would like to just make note that if contact information is provided, they will certainly receive a response. Anonymous input is accepted. However, only those that identify themselves will get an answer, and we will only be able to research or investigate anonymous input or concerns to the best of our ability, because we don't have that option of returning a phone call or sending an email. So we just want the public to keep that in mind. And as always, the department is open to public comment, just by calling the department or when you see an officer on the street. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded. That covers all of the bullet points that we have covered in our report. If anyone has any feedback, we'll take positive feedback too, or any questions, feel free to offer that now. If not, you can always do that going forward. The committee will stay intact and see that these processes and recommendations are followed through on. So again, I'll open it up to anyone at this point. If they have any feedback, input. Okay, so that concludes our presentation on our recommendations and comments. I think everyone, especially, I don't know if it's still raining, but it was the nicest night of the year so far. So thank you for taking the time to join us on this meeting. And thank you to the committee for all of your hard work on this. And again, thank you to the village officials. We'll be presenting our report to the village board on Monday, March 15th at 6:20 p.m. And again, that meeting will be live streamed. So it's one more opportunity for the public to get involved. So in the meantime, thank you all. And Sergeant Barker, thank you. You got me. We did have one question, and I am going to ask it right now. So I apologize. We have one question that came in via email prior to tonight's meeting. And the question was, some of our officers are canine officers. Should we add a canine force to the use of force policy? And I will defer to Sergeant Barker to answer this question.
Appreciate it. So I'm not looking to make the meeting extra long, but I think it's a great question. So I want to make sure it's clarified. We're blessed to have some other officers that have some unique skills or unique resources from other agencies. It was brought to us, should we incorporate canine usage as part of our policy? And we won't, but only for a specific reason. Those canines are utilized under those other department headers. Those other departments, whether it's Albany County Sheriffs or City of Troy or City Cohoes, are also bound by their own policies, all of which fall within the New York State reforms. So when those canines or other resources are being used as part of that department, those officers are acting under the guidance of those departments. So any canine officer that were to come into Green Island and utilize a canine for whatever reason would be bound already by a department policy at their home agency. And those are the agencies that hold the liability insurance for those canines, but also the standards and guidelines of those canines, all of which fall under New York State. So it's a great question, and that will continue to take away the canine, but any other resource we may use, whether it's some of our officers are trained in hazmat response or some higher second level investigative techniques. If any of those are used, they're being used under the guidance of their own home departments. But good question.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing that up. I almost slipped my mind here. Does anyone else have any further questions? Okay, so thank you all again. And everyone enjoy your night, and we're looking forward to presenting this to the village board on Monday. So thank you, and it'll be about a 10 to 15-second delay till we come off live stream here, so just keep that in mind. So everyone, thank you and have a good night.
Nice night, everybody.